there, practitioners. Well, we have an amazing special treat today. You know her, I know her. Well, you might not know her just yet, but you will. So if you're new to the show, welcome. But we have one of my dear, dear special guests, Kathy Colaiacovo. She is my secret weapon. So welcome to the show, Kathy.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Again and again.
Again.
And then again.
I just love talking with you and hanging out with you.
I know. We just have a great time. I think this is your third time on the show?
Second or third?
I'm going third. Well,
I remember the first one because I remember a spider came across my desk and I smashed it while we were on recording. And but that got cut out for some reason.
I can't imagine why. I remember the first one because I still didn't know how to say your last name then.
Yeah.
So
you're an expert now.
Yeah, now I got it. Well, for all of those listeners that don't know who you are and why I say that you're my secret weapon, can you please share the magic that is Kathy Colaiacovo?
Sure. So my name is Kathy Colaiacovo, and you are saying it right. I am the owner of pepperitmarketing.com. And what I love to do in my days is help dietitians and private practice owners learn to understand the foundations of marketing their practice online so they can do it in less time, attract a steady flow of clients, build that rewarding and profitable practice that you started out in business to do in the first place. And the best part is still have time left in your day to get out and enjoy your life.
That just sounds magical. It's like, oh, well, you make it sound so easy. And, oh, I'm just going to turn on this marketing switch and it's just going to flow in. But we all know, or maybe you don't know, I know it's not that easy. So I guess, because I hear so many of our listeners just freaking out over marketing. So where do we help? Where do we even begin?
So really the first things that you want to think about are you want to simplify and you want to streamline things. Most of the time I find people are trying to put out too much marketing. They're spending more time marketing than they are working with clients, which is not how you're going to get any revenue in your business. I mean, yes, you need to do marketing, but you want to do it in a strategic way, in a way that's going to reach clients. It's going to attract that ideal client, the people that you really want to serve and the people you want to help live long, healthy lives, because that's what you started in business for. But the reality is, if you could make marketing come very easy to you, you'd probably be a marketing strategist. And that's what I do. So I like to think I just like to help people really understand how to get back to the basics of their marketing so that you're not doing near as much as you probably are now, but it's more effective and it's working and it's getting the traffic to your website. It's getting the leads to your door. And then you get the opportunity to convert those leads to clients.
So I'm holding on to the words you say, simple and easy and all of that. And you and I both know that has not been my strength. Like the world of online marketing to me is not simple and easy. And hence why I hired you many moons ago. And it was worth every cent. So where did I guess how can we make it simple and easy? And what can we do or can we hire you?
So really, it all comes down to what I like to refer to as the 4 pillars of marketing a business or a practice online. First, you need your foundations. And that's where a lot of people skip because they don't think they're important. Some of the foundations that I talk to people about and we look at are things like your website, having a blog or a podcast, having an email marketing system so you can get leads in there, having a Google business profile. That's actually a very big part of marketing foundations, especially for dietitians and private practice owners, because most people are going to go to Google and look for a dietitian near me, or a therapist near me, or a practice, that's what they're going to look for. And if you don't have that foundation set up, you're going to be missing out on those opportunities. So we always look at these foundations as the base that you want to have in place, and you want to have them optimized so that they're working. That's one thing when we look back, 4 years ago when we first started together. You know, there was a phrase that we used a little when we talked about you. You used it and I made you stop after a while, but it was the hot mess express. I don't know if you remember that. I remember do you remember I bought a mug?
Yes, you bought me a mug and it was that hot mess. And I was like, oh yeah, like, cause nothing worked.
But I found another one and I refused to send it to you because I didn't want you to be a hot mess anymore because we were fixing everything up. Yeah. I actually have it here now and I still drink out of it sometimes. But that's part of it, is really, you've got to look at those foundations, because a lot of people think they're not important. They think they don't need to have them in place. And this is something I actually recently with a client, we optimized 2 of her foundations. So simple. I made her make her website live because she was hiding it because it wasn't perfect. And her contact page on her website. And then we updated her social media profiles because people couldn't find her. And she was networking like crazy in a bunch of groups and people were trying to reach out. She didn't realize that because they couldn't find her. So we did that. And it was really funny because within 24 hours, I started getting these messages and she's like, 2 people have reached out already. And then she, wait, now there's a 3rd one. Okay, hold on. So 5 people within 24 hours of fixing a couple of those foundations reached out to do business with her. So the foundations are really key and too many people dismiss them. Then, yep.
I have a question. I'm raising my hand to like, wait. Okay. Well, you and I have talked about blogging many times and I'm like, it feels like it's so 1980s. But I'm like, wait, blogs weren't around in the 80s. Hence why I'm like totally dating myself. But like, it tends to be, I hear so much pushback from our listeners and coaching clients that blogs are time consuming. And so for the 1 millionth and 10th time, tell us why we must blog and blog and blog and blog.
Okay. So one of your foundations is consistent content, what I call anchor content. So that base article that will be actually the base for all of your online marketing, or can be. That content, when you put it on your website, so as a blog, for instance, that is new content that if you're being effective with it, you're writing it with keywords, you're writing things that your ideal client's going to be looking up for, you're talking about their problems and offering solutions. And the idea is when you put it on your website, the search engines can find it. When they can find it, it also means when somebody's Googling to help solve a problem, you could be one of the answers. If you're not doing it consistently, the search engines won't necessarily find your website. If you don't have a website, which is one of your foundations, they may not find you either. So the thing about it is, if you look at that, think about it this way, is just look at it as an article, one article you're going to write with a few lessons you're going to teach somebody that would work with you, your ideal client. That article goes on your blog, but I'm all about repurposing and saving time. So it's also going to become your newsletter, and it's going to become the basis for your social media posts, and is going to become the basis for maybe a little short video you do, if you do reels or short YouTube videos, Facebook videos, lives. Essentially that one article that you write, and it doesn't have to be a thesis, and it doesn't have to have a million citations and resources. Other dietitians might be looking for that, but your nutrition clients, your private practice clients, they're looking for some words that will help them solve a problem. So it doesn't have to be, writing for marketing doesn't have to be as complicated as most people make it. It's part of what I teach in my academy program, is how to narrow it down and write simple articles that you can use for all this content. So you're just going to repurpose it in all sorts of different ways.
That does feel easier. I'm not going to say it feels easy just yet.
No.
So we got our foundations. We're creating this content and repurposing it. That just feels like, oh, that's taking away more time. Like, but you said it's going to be easy. So like, what do I do next to make sure that?
So one of the things that you also have to learn is you have to understand your message and understand your offer and who you're speaking to. And part of that is knowing keywords that you should use in things. So words or phrases that your ideal clients may have in place that they're thinking about, that they go to Google for looking, or Dr. Google, and whatever they're going to search in there to solve their problems. So you have to have all of these and they connect together. So when you put them together, what happens, so I'll give you an example. Typically for a lot of my clients or students in my programs, what they will do is a lot of them will start out with once a month. Okay, once a month, they're going to write an article. That's what I always like to aim for. So they write that one article that's going to go on their blog, but it's also going to go in their newsletter. And while you're writing it, you can pull out some blurbs and create some social media content. And while you're doing that, you can think up some ideas and make some images to put into play to go with that marketing content as well. And then what I do for myself is I actually look at the blog online and use that as a script for some of my videos or for my Instagram reels. Mm-hmm. So the reason it saves you time is you have a plan, which is another part of your pillars of your marketing, is having a content marketing plan. So you know that every week or every month or every 2 weeks, whatever your schedule is going to be, you get the one piece and it becomes all this other stuff. Most of the time when I do assessments and audits for people with their marketing, they're actually out there creating so much content, it isn't even funny. Whereas you could step back, simplify, make one piece for each cycle that you're going to use, and use that as the basis for everything else.
I love that. And I love that the next pillar is a plan, because we don't have a plan to fail. So tell us more about this. So is there more to this plan?
So really it's all about developing, like we use a content planner. That's something I've been using and developing for about 14 years now. I've been in business doing this kind of work. So it has a section in it to think about what we're going to plan out for the year. You can break it down into different themes. I like to teach my students to come up with some buckets of content ideas, because really for most people, you could come up with 6 main topics you might talk about for your business. Okay, things your clients would want to know. And in each bucket, you could put another 6 things as subtopics. So all of a sudden now you have a half of a year of content ideas and themes to talk about for your marketing and for your consistent content that you put out there. So it's really about planning what's going on, looking at your business. What do you have launching? Do you have a new program starting? Are you going to be starting a new service? Is there an event happening that you might be able to tailor this around? So then you want to plan to put that kind of content that's going to match with all of that into your planner. And then you set a schedule. A lot of people forget that you really could be sitting down. I have an article template that people follow. And what they do with that is they create the article. They add into it the little pieces they're going to need different for the newsletter, for the blog, for the social media, for the images, for the calls to action. So all at once you sit down, you plan, you block the time, you write the one piece, and then it's so much easier and faster to get it out in the different areas.
That does feel really good. And I know I've seen this plan and I've seen this. So y'all listening know that I am not a fan of writing, and following Kathy's plan and planning it all out truly does make life so much nicer.
Well, and think about this, because how many times did we write your articles or content?
Oh, goodness.
We never did.
I know.
You wrote it.
I was trying
because
to think
you learned. We don't. And it's funny because when I talk to people, that's one thing that they always ask about is, well, can you write it for us? So I actually keep track of my numbers. And I have worked with 1-to-1 292 dietitian or private practice owners.
Holy
out of
bananas.
The 500 or so clients I've worked with 1-to-1 over time. And that doesn't include the people in my programs or membership. But with all of them, not one, and I mean it, not one person did we write their articles for them. I showed them a system so that they could create it easily and get it out there. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, when you learn to write for marketing, which is a little different than writing, a thesis or a paper or anything like that, you can make it a lot easier, and then it's more doable and you can finish it.
Okay, so, I was like, well, you guys did go back and correct all of the spelling.
We did do that. But the concepts and the lessons in it were things that you would say to your clients, right? They're things that you would talk about. And when you learn to start recognizing the ideas for content, it becomes easier. Like I have, you can't see this on the audio if you're listening, but I'm showing a Post-it note. I have Post-it notes on my monitor because I typically will come up with an idea from talking to a client or in a networking group or somewhere for a good lesson that others would want to know. Mm-hmm. So coming up in mid-March, it's going to be, you know, where do you store your lead magnet files? Because that's a question people were having. And so when you start to recognize things like, you know, some people will ask, well, I know intuitive eating is always a big thing. It's like, well, does that mean you can eat cookies all the time? Right? So when you have that someone remind you of that, make a note of it and put it down. And you can easily write an article on why intuitive eating doesn't mean you're eating cookies all the time. Like I said, I'm not a dietitian, but I don't play one on TV, but I've learned a lot from all the ones I worked with.
I love it. But you know how to teach us all the marketing.
I can.
Yes, which is wonderful.
So, yeah. And the biggest thing really, Adrien, that people kind of miss out on is you're not being consistent with your marketing because you're not blocking time to do it, because you're making it into a bigger monster than it really is. Because when you sit down and think about it, it's a matter of what could I tell that person and answer that question on my advice for. It doesn't mean you're eating cookies all day long if you start intuitive eating, right? That's not what it's all about. There's things that you can easily put down. And once you've blocked the time for that, then you just have to block time to put it together, set it out. I'm a big fan, and we've done it from day one, pre-scheduling content. You pre-schedule the stuff that you know you've created. And then that's where the 15 minutes a day on social media comes in, because that's where you go in, you know, the content's out there, you start networking and talking with people online. It helps that marketing you've got out there. And that's how you build that digital footprint and get people to find you.
Oh, so many thoughts, so many like, yes. Because it truly was like in my head, that monster of like, oh my gosh, I got to write these blogs. It's going to take me forever. I'm just going to live on it. But when you kind of gave me that nugget of what do your clients ask you? I was like, oh, they're asking this. And we have all that junk in our head. We just don't know how to put it on paper and then turn it into marketing.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love it. So this idea that, okay, we're going to only spend 15 minutes on social media because I'll go down the rabbit hole, and I'm just speaking from my own personal experience, but like this idea of being social on social media is so, that's the other thing that I learned from you. It's like, oh, I don't just like schedule posts or throw money at ads and all that. I actually have to go and be present on that.
Yeah. And that is more important these days than ever. It has become more important in the last 3 or 4 years, but 10 years ago, when we were doing this kind of marketing for clients, you could get away in some ways without the actual client being on there. But these days, people want real, they want authenticity, they want to talk to the person. And that actually gets you a lot farther than any pre-planned or scheduled content. But it's funny because they work in tandem. So what will happen is we have the planned content going out. So I know at 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock during the week, something gets posted and scheduled on my Instagram. So I take my 15 minutes and go live at around that time. And what will happen often is people will be liking or commenting on things. And so you're right there in the moment. You can comment back and network back and forth. And it's not really about just hitting the heart button and liking things. You want to say different things, and you want to go back to your messaging and think about your keywords. So for instance, if somebody says, oh, that was a great idea about, that it's not just all about eating, we're going to stick with the cookie thing, that it's not just all about eating cookies all day. When someone says that, replying back you want to take a little bit more time. Than you don't want to just hit the heart button, but hit it and go, yeah, I agree with you, Adrien. It can be a challenge, but for so many of my clients, it's made a huge shift in their lives and changed everything for them. and allowed them to ditch diets forever. All of a sudden, your response back, which would not be hard for you to say as someone with that expertise, it makes a very big difference in how that person saw your reply back. It's not just a heart from Adrien, it's a heart and some ideas and a little food for thought about how you could actually help them. So when you're doing that networking talking, you've got to be thinking about inserting some of your keywords in there. It's not just great comment, thanks so much, but take it a little farther.
I think that's so valuable and something that I'm not the best at. And this is BK, before Kathy, I had hired somebody to do that, to run my social media. Oh, holy hell. They didn't know the brand. They didn't know what to say back. And oh my gosh, the comments back that they would say were atrocious. And so I think learning from you how to talk back to people on social media, which seems so silly to say, but it's like, oh, how do you actually like be a human on social media?
It's not hard.
Yeah. And so I guess it was just kind of, again, making that space, making that time, and, like having fun with it.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a lot. Like, we really do talk to my clients and about, once we have this system in place and you have the whole method working for you and the content's going out, the stuff is scheduled online, it actually means that all you have to do is spend about 15 or 20 minutes a day, do a bit of networking, talking back and forth. And that actually, combined with all the other strategic planned content, kind of makes the trifecta of getting results.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So we've got our foundations, we got our plan. So then magically
got your messaging and your keywords.
We got messaging, keywords. So then magically we're going to get millions of clients.
Well, when you have them all connected together, it does mean things are happening, and you will probably find that you'll start getting more traffic and more leads. One of the foundations is actually setting up your analytics and a stats tracking document, because you can learn a lot from that. And I know you have over time. People will always say, well, why do I have to put my newsletter open rates and stuff into a stats tracking document? So, because I have a free template that I give people, has a little lesson on how to use it, but it can be very magical in how you can see stuff when you take it out of your system. So, you send a newsletter, you have all your stuff going out there, you get open reports and all of that in there. But when you take that and every time you send a newsletter and you punch it into the stats tracking document, now you can start seeing trends and things that you won't necessarily see in the dashboard of your system. When you look at your analytics to see what are the top pages people visited this month on your website, that might be where you learn things like, holy heck, that blog's gone crazy. And then you look at it and find it's got like an old call to action or a lead magnet, and you need to optimize, right? Not looking at your stats and your numbers and tracking them, you're not going to know things like that. I always like to say you have to look where you were to know where you're going to be going in the future.
So many thoughts again. I was just like, oh crap, our top website that gets hit, because we track everything. I don't know if we've ever optimized that and like put our new lead magnet on it. Now that you're saying that darn peanut butter and jelly blog gets like the greatest traction known to man. It blows my mind.
Sure, we did.
Yeah. I'm like, I think so, but I don't know.
But it, like, those numbers are really key. And a lot of people, like I said, they're one of the 10 foundations, and a lot of people forget them because you don't think they're important. It seems too simple for a lot of people. It's like, simple and simplifying can work really well.
Oh, I love it. And as a new mom, simple is like how, like, oh, simple, yes, and more. I was about to do the baby sign language for more. More simple. Okay, so we're tracking. Is there any other things we need to really like unlock this marketing mystery?
So it's really, I talk about what I teach is the Thrive marketing method. So it's really what I call the secret sauce to saving time with your marketing and making it more effective, is taking those foundations, your messaging, your marketing content, and putting it all into a system that's repeatable. You do it over and over. You know how to add new stuff in when it comes along. It's not limited to what the latest social media trend of the day is, because social media is only one piece. I was talking to somebody the other day and they're like, well, aren't your foundations, aren't it like, don't they have like Facebook and Instagram? And I'm like, no, only one foundation talks about social media. So, but it is part of the marketing, but it's not the be all and the end all. And to be honest, the successful dietitians and practice owners that I've worked with over time, it's only a portion of what they've done. And for most, when I find that they're spending a lot of time, it's because there's no system in place. There's no plan. And it's all what I call random acts of marketing. And that's not going to get you anywhere. And it is going to take you more time. And people that are feeling like they've spent their entire day on social media, it's often because you're not planning the things out that you want to do.
Oh, bless their hearts if they're spending all their time on social media, or if they think the foundations are like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm like, oh, bless.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Kathy, I feel like, I have learned a gazoodle from you, and I continue to learn from you. Where can, I guess, I and others continue to learn and just soak up this marketing genius?
So you can go to my website, which is peppermarketing.com, and there's a resources page there. And I have a few freebies that you can download. The Streamline Your Marketing Guide is a really good one. It shows you the only 7 pieces of marketing content you need to fill your calendar. So it's all about the repurposing and the system that we talk about. I've got a stats tracking template on there you can get for free as well. And part of what's really important with your marketing is that you are always looking to generate leads, to get new leads in one way or another. That's one of your 7 pieces of content. Because you were a perfect example of this one. When we first met, you had a lead magnet. Mm-hmm. The system was a little broken for it because when people signed up for it, they weren't getting it.
Nope.
So we fixed that. But the other thing that a lot of people don't do, and you weren't doing it either, was you have a lead magnet, but you're not promoting it. You're not telling people about it. You're not, there's lots of places you can market them, and there's lots of things that you can do with a lead magnet that's going to attract your ideal client and bring those people in. I do have a free class that I'm teaching on March 23rd or 24th. Mm. So I'll get you a link to that. We'll put with this episode. And it's all about how to optimize your lead magnet, create an irresistible lead magnet, and use the 7 elements in it that help do things. Like I have one client, once she added one of these elements in, she started booking more consults from her lead magnet. It was an ebook on emotional eating, I think. Ooh. And when she started booking the consults from it, she said 15% would convert into clients.
Holy bananas.
So, it meant basically every 15 consults, she got 2 new clients from it, all from the lead magnet. So again, it's all about being strategic with what you're doing and have a system so that you're not wasting time. And you're keeping things as simple as possible and getting people in the door for your nutrition counseling or other services that you offer as a private practitioner.
Oh, I can't wait for the class. We will definitely have those links because I think that's so true. I'm definitely, this all too well, like, oh yeah, I have a lead magnet, but nobody ever talks about it. And then how to make a great lead magnet, what needs to really make it work for you. Let's all work smarter.
Yes, exactly. Because your lead magnets can do a lot more, and there's more to them than people really realize. A lot of times I'll get them when I'm looking at them for an assessment or an audit, and it's like, okay, it's great content, but that lead magnet actually has a job. Mm-hmm. And that job is to get you more leads and more clients. So if you're missing those elements, it can be really a waste of time sometimes, all the effort that you put into it and market it. But the biggest thing is people forget to tell people they have a lead magnet.
Yep. I'm thinking, man, I don't remember last time I told somebody I had a lead magnet. So, oh, Kathy,
yeah,
I'd be lost without you. Oh, and I just love talking with you. So we can find you on your website, Kathy,
yep.
tell us your website again.
Peppermarketing.com.
pepperitmarketing.com. Where else can we find you?
So on Instagram, I'm also Pepper It Marketing, and Facebook as well. And so you can find me on those 3 different areas, and you can check out the links there because there's links to the freebies as well.
Oh, awesome. We will definitely have all of the links to your social and your website and the classes. Kathy, it is always such a treat to have you on the show. And dang it, I always take so many notes.
I have so much fun when we talk together.
I know. Oh, have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.